This part I'll tell you after when it is checked. I have to search my notes. And give one case study. Wherever possible, example case studies. Next question is race and racism. You have to define what is race, what is racism, then differentiate between race and racism. So much of definitions are there in race, which race as a biological concept, race as a cultural concept, because there is differences in biology also. So either it could be structure, stature wise, or other characteristics, hair, nose, forms, stature, then just lips, everything, facial forms. That part are also cultural differences, different languages, different marriage system. So there is so many things which defines individual races. That is race, race as a biological concept, race as a cultural concept. You have to define it. And also what racism. Racism is like it's a way you look at things. When you try to attach superiority, inferiority to certain races, then race as such is a good concept. We belong to one ethnicity, they belong to another ethnicity. It's a way you classify the people. But racism is when a superiority, inferiority concept comes in. That is the differences. Okay? When you start attaching coccidal race is good, intelligent, that these, and they try to differentiate and discriminate the other group, that is what is racism. Next, UNESCO statement in racial classification. Do all of you have the statement with you, or you won't? You have it? UNESCO statement. That's it. There is nothing much to discuss. It's a plain answer. Just have to say that all human beings belongs to only one race, one species. It is Homo sapiens. Race cannot be grouped on the basis of nationality, religion. Same thing. Just have to discuss it in that way. Question 4C. There is no standard material for this. Genetic research, ethics in genetic research, discuss the ethical, legal, and social issues. You can prepare this one. Just go through online, because what I write is different, and what I cannot tell the same thing for you also. So just prepare good notes for this. That's it. There's nothing standard in this question. So question, we'll go to 5A. So anthropometric somatotype, discuss the contribution of Sheldon in somatotyping. So you are here in this question, you have to define what is anthropometry, tell its uses, then somatotyping. Somatotyping is like constitutions of humans with respect to structure, means anatomy, with respect to its functions, physiology, and also with respect to its behavior. So you have something like anatomy, physiology, as well as behavior. All this would be the ones which composes the somatotypes. And there are various scientists who have classified the human people into different groups. Sheldon is one such thing. He has classified it people into endomorphy, mesomorphy, and ectomorphy, wherein thin and lean people are classified as ectomorphy. Some medium stature, medium outlook is mesomorphy. Heavy and obese are the ones which endomorphy. Just draw the diagrams also, how the entire human physical appearance is. Explain everything. That's it. Section 5B is Hardy-Weinberg law, discuss various factors which result in departure from Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium. So you have in Hardy-Weinberg law, it's a one law, let's assume this is a group population, okay? In a large randomly mating population, if there is, we discussed about mutation, migration and selection. These are the three things which causes variation. If these three factors are absent, okay, in a randomly mating population, the variation creating factors, which is migration, mutation and selection are absent, then this entire population is in a genotypic frequency. There is one stability in the population. That is what is Hardy-Weinberg law. Okay. That genotypic frequency in the absence of this variation will remain constant from generation to generation. And this you know this people actually nobody understands this how this formula comes, but still that you draw one Punnett square, just say what are the variations part, and then you arrive at this equation. You know the equation, right? Hardy-Weinberg law equation. Just somehow you just write. That's it. It should the formula should be present. That's all. And give assumption. What is P? What is Q? Just write something. Just draw one Punnett square. This is how it is, and this is how it comes. So then, what are the factors which brings down? So there is something. There's something called systemic process. Other one is dispersive process. Here in systemic process, you will get to know the amount as well as in which direction. Amount as well as direction. So you will know the amount and direction of the disturbances, in which way it is going, in which way this entire genetic frequency is disturbed. So that you will get to know in systemic process, and all these three factors, migration, mutation and selection, falls under systemic process. So whenever these factors are present, then this genetic equilibrium is disturbed. And these three factors will give you both amount as well as the direction. It's that in the sense its intensity and in which way it is progressing. Means whether more homozygosity, more heterozygosity, in which way it is progressing, that you will get to know. The other one is dispersive process. Here you do not get to know the direction part, only the intensity. Example is random genetic drift. Clear this part? Then discuss 5C, monogenic and polygenic inheritance in man with suitable example. So we were talking about characters. let's assume like height, tall or dwarf. Okay, when this character, if this tallness or darkness is influenced by only one gene, it's called as monogenic inheritance. Similarly, if there is one single character, and there is too many genes, gene at number 9, so many genes which is influencing one single character, it's called as polygenic inheritance. Example is color, skin color. And there is one example like a cross between Negro as well as white. Whenever this thing has happens, it's a polygenic inheritance. You'll get a result like 1 is to 4 is to 6 is to 4 is to 1. This example you can quote where 1 is black, this is slightly better, something like brown, slightly better one. This one is intermediate, 4 is light color, 1 is white. And they also called, there is one distribution. This polygenic inheritance is always normal distributive curve. Skin color, black to white, this being intermediate. This example is intermediate. Anything else you want to ask? It's fun answer. Dead person identification from morphological and racial characters. That is one thing. Identification from morphological and racial characters. Second is identification through skeletal remains. Third one is DNA fingerprinting. From where do the samples come from is bone marrow cells in charred bones, blood stains of clothes. Want to ask anything else? No, 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 don't do it. Because you have so much to write in other parts. 20 marker you're right, but otherwise not required. Even here also, in most other cases where I have explained, just Hardy-Weinberg law that 20, if it is a 20 marker, explain all mutation, migration, selection. 15 marker, just write something, 2, 3 lines about it, enough. Depending upon your space, time, everything, you have to adjust. It's a very simple equation, no? That one A to B, then reverse. Those things are difficult. It's very complex. That is okay. Nobody is mathematician. How much ever possible, you just write. When you read, everything will be. You will feel like, yes, yes, I have got it. But when you actually start writing, A will move to small a becomes capital A becomes small a. It's all so confusing. Main thing in Anthro is like your flowchart diagrams, and your definition should be good. Thinker's name, wherever applicable, you have to be good at. Then diagrams. By drawing these flowcharts only, you can write half the answers easily. For every answer, you will practice the flowchart. For every answer. Normally, how the discussion will go in this fashion itself, or like something different. This way. I'm sorry, I'm not well from 3 days. Otherwise, could have this part. I'm very good at physical answer. I'm very good at. Yeah, I attended 2 questions in physical. Even in socio-cultural, in section A, you will have scope for attending physical. Chapter 1 is there now. Those questions you attend. Don't attend this marriage, family, kinship, descent, all rubbish. It will not fetch you good marks at all. In physical, everything is like this flowchart diagram, tailor-made answers. This is what is expected. You just put that much, it's enough. You get very good marks. Score target 180 marks in paper 1 itself. Paper 2 can be like 130 or 160. You never know. So if you fetch like 170 there and 130 here also, you will still end up with 300, which is a good marks. So at least 170 in paper 1. because that is where you can score more. In fact, paper 2, what happens is like they start asking dynamic questions, especially tribal India and all that land acquisition and impact on tribes. So those kind of questions. Then women, role of women in Central Indian tribal belt and status also, or not role. So these kind of things are like you don't know what to write at all. There you attend the Indian society part, which is section A in paper 2. Unless you are very sure and very comfortable with your tribal Indian part, at least Indian society part is good. Don't do any mistakes in the archaeology part. There you follow only structure. First of all, who excavated, what time period it corresponds to, then what materials they are used, what is the tool technology, then what are the different sites, draw India map and write all the different sites, and what are the specific points in the sites. What a particular site is famous for, write all those things. Then you write that uh, you should write the environment part also. What was the environment during that time? After that, the socio-cultural aspects. What is the religion practice? What was the economy carried out? So if you just follow this exam, structure-wise, it is good. 130 is easily doable in paper 2. 140, 150 is like slightly tricky, can be slightly tricky. But you can easily do 170 in paper 1. Here it is not required conclusion also, it's all concept based. See, RH positive, they will give what conclusion you want to write for that. Any recent study you have come across, you can quote just to impress, but so it requires a lot of meticulous preparation if you want the conclusion for each and every answers. Yeah. Concept, if the concepts are correct, they'll award marks. No issues at all. Recent studies alone is the impressive way of concluding, but it will take a lot of effort from your side also. Case studies should take 20 to 25% of your answers. And don't quote multiple case studies, just one good case studies which I've come across. Just say what is the tribe, what is the case over there, what is the problem, and and any solution is there, you can quote that. Otherwise, this is the problem, this is the lapse. Because of the lapse in the law, this was observed. Because of the failure of the proper implementation of Forest Rights Act, this what happened in this place. Failure of the observation of Schedule 5 and Schedule 6, money lending, poverty, indebtedness, this what happened in this location. It's enough. The rest thing you can quote it as an example, not as a case study. Similarly, this problem is found in this part as an example. And this in addition to this, these would be the tribals who are affected in different parts of India. Quoting 2-3 case studies is not advisable because case studies are quoted just to make sure that it's a very generic answer. Whatever they have tribal problems, anybody can write it. But how to differentiate from how to talk it from the anthropology point of view? To differentiate that, you quote case studies. That's all. If the answer itself is made up of full of case studies, that is also not good. And draw diagrams always. Draw India map whenever you talk about the tribes, and quote to many tribal examples. This then along with their locations. Whenever you give like 4-5 examples, tribal examples, draw a small map, say which part they belong to. They will ask specific tribal revolts only. Is there any tribal revolt they've asked for? No, that is there. But in Karthik sir material, they have talked about from this one, 1856 revolt, Santal rebellion, till this Jharkhand movement. Till there they have talked. But don't invest so much time in reading all those stuff. It's not proportionate. Yeah. Not required. Whatever you're comfortable with. See, I strongly suggest avoid the tribal part. It's so difficult, so dynamic. Unless you're very good at it. Just stick to the Indian society part. You'll only get Srinivasan, LP Vidyarthi, only these. It's much better. Your work is so easy. There you concentrate on chapter 9, that tribal administration part, history of tribal administration, and this tribal Panchasheel, every time they'll have that part, and then which is the best approach, integrated approach. So that topic is important, and chapter 7 is important. That's SC, ST, and minority. So many questions come from that chapter. That is very important. The sixth chapter is so big, and it will appear only in section B. It will not come in section A at all. But this SC, ST minorities and all can be thrown up anywhere. Because it is Indian society also. Just that it is present in 7th chapter doesn't mean that So that way you should play safe. Give a lot of importance to chapter 7, 7 and 9. 8 you don't study at all. That comparative studies, no, 8 between Indian tribals along with world. That you don't study. Indian tribal versus USA tribal. Don't study. Nation state, yeah. Hmm. Indian society, this all the social systems, caste system, varna system, and this ashrama dharma, Purushartha doctrine, uh, then the typecast continuum, many questions they'll ask, nature and spirit complex, sacred geography. So everything is important in that. Village studies and all, there is no proper material at all, good material. They keep asking every time. Prepare good, some. I mean, there is no standard material for it, but you do your work. Prepare well for that village study pattern. Villages are little republics. They are asked last time. Karthik has got some good stuff, but in addition to that, you also just go through it. Problem with Andhro is first there is scarcity of information, and in test series they'll ask complicated questions. But if I check for the solutions, you can answer this question. When I LTV test series, I had a subscribe. The questions which I don't know, where I want some material, you can answer this question. That is the answer, right? So even they just ask the question for the sake of exam. And anyhow, you still have options now. 400 paper is set for 400 marks, 250 marks. So in the options, you can choose not to attempt certain wherever you are not comfortable. This time I wrote questions like in paper one, it is section B, mostly dominant. Right? In section A, physical part only, I attempted mostly. In this part, paper 2, section A, 2 questions. Section B, only 1 question. apart from the compulsory questions. That's it. Mostly all good scoring papers are like this. Taking chances in tribals is not good. Either it will fetch you very good marks, like paper to 180 you will get, otherwise 109, 110, this kind of question. In addition to SASA committee report, you can refer Ministry of Tribal Welfare, and then minority ministries and SCST, National Commission for SCST reports. So chapter 7 is very important in paper 2. Now, what are you referring for culture, this archaeology part? Chapter 1 in paper 2. So, no? Handwritten, no? You haven't tried Muniratnam Reddy's or handwritten notes? Huh. Both are good. This one, Muniratnam Reddy's handwritten notes is good. You can refer to it. He in fact explains layer by layers. So on which layer what artifacts are found. Because archaeology is like it will go time both the time period, the ones which is available down is the most oldest ones, and what layer by layer he will explain what was the artifact. T1, T2, T3. These things actually the Indian pre-history Bhattacharya, it is the more reference book, and this notes is directly written from that book itself in a very simplified form. You can understand complicated things explained in a very simple fashion. Muniratnam Reddy's handwritten notes, class notes. But at this point of time, don't mess up with so many materials. That depends on your current preparations. Where do you stand in Anthro? But I would strongly recommend that GS you can write some answer, though you don't know the question. What hardly they will be asking poverty elevation or the most of the things like agricultural crisis. So many things you can only pop up: monsoon failure, non-availability of credit charges, and market failure, forward backward linkages. You don't need any subject specialization as such. But Andro you cannot. Either you know the correct answer or you cannot. If you write any other things, it will not fetch you good marks at all. You'll easily come to know whether this fellow has studied anthropology or not. So I would strongly suggest read the optional thoroughly, because general studies maximum 20-25 marks here and there it will differentiate. But optional, so what happens, either you will be in 200 brackets, or the next bracket is 240 levels, 240 260 levels, or 300 brackets. And then the interview is no man's land. Let's assume you will score only 160 in interview, taking that as a good score. Majority of your scoring should come from optionals only. Take take clue from all these toppers. Lakshmi got 362 in Anthro. Even though she managed to fetch 157 in an interview, because of her Anthro score, she got a very good rank. Similarly, mine also, even if I had got just 300 in Anthro, I wouldn't have qualified. That's that extra additional 318, additional 18 marks, it has put me into this rank. And this is one subject where I will not do any injustice for you. If you put your efforts correctly, you practice your answers, practice your diagrams, flowcharts, everything, it will definitely fetch you good marks. And it is not something taken for granted. Like all the other non-anthro people will say, no, your subject is going well. they, they speak without any truth in it. It's nothing like that. Even Akash sir got 298, and Rahul Santanu, he also got 290. So it's all good scores only. So imagine you scored 320 in Anthro, nobody can stop you from getting rank. But still, at the end of it, your like it's your choice also. Like if you want to dedicate much time and serious, it's very difficult to say. Like, but make sure that at least important and past 5 years question papers you have done with Anthro. Everything, because that compulsory section is there. It's a very tricky one. Any questions from any corner can come in that. At least for that section, at least for the compulsory section sake, you should have done with all this 5 years question paper. After that, you can relax a bit more. Easily. And just always remember, if you leave one question for 10 marker, you're leaving 100 vacancies. You're dropping 100 ranks. Just 10 mark, because every 1 mark there are 10 people. So 10 mark question if you're leaving 100 rank. 15 mark you're leaving 150 rank. 20 marker you're leaving 200 ranks. And for a general merit guys, like 30 marks if they leave, it's almost like out of the list. So that is why you have to take a lot of care. In that corner, completing the syllabus is very essential, because compulsory question you don't know what will come up over there. Anything else? But completing paper in anthropology is very difficult. It's very, very difficult. I always used to point out of 5. That is why my strategy was like I did the section compulsory question first, 5 questions. After that, all these sub questions, 2A, 3A, those things will be there, no? 50 markers. That I used to do. And only in the last half an hour, I used to do the other compulsory question. Like question 5. Question 1 is compulsory. Question 5 is compulsory. Next is 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8. I used to do this first. And after that, in paper 1, I used to do 2 year and 1 year. In the last sometime only I used to do this part, because there are 15, 20 markers. If you don't write correctly, you will not get good marks there. Here it is 10 markers. Half flowchart if I draw, that itself is that itself will be like half the answer. Yeah. Last aram se we can manage. So I always used to fall short, and then I still remember, like in 10 minutes I've written 3 questions in this portion. This is possible only if you are with 10 markers, left with 10 markers, not with 15 or 20 markers. Managing time is very difficult. That too, you have one question less compared to general studies. 19 questions only you are supposed to write here compared to 20. And revision, thank God that 1 week gap for the optionals is so good. previous years are all like 1 day gap. 1 day gap, then language, and then anthro. Wow. So horrible. By the time we finish, let's just start with paper two. By the time we come to physical anthro, everything would have gone. So annoying. The revisions and all. And then during that 2 hours interval now, when we take up the paper two part again, I was like, I can only remember physical anthro part and not all of this. You'll be thinking like, we are reading, because paper two is a place where you have to read a lot of definitions and all. And this anthro people, anthro thoughts that definitions, anthropologist definition has to be accurate. So remembering, recollecting those things are also difficult. And then that interlinking part, paper two, paper one is paper two. Most majorly will be bringing those thinkers back to paper one, paper two. So those things are also difficult. Now 1 week gap is so good. Anything else? We'll finish. Was it useful? In case if anything is there in physical part, you can contact me. I'll write my number, because I am not fully happy with this discussion.